Alright, hello everyone and welcome back to my Fallout 4 Mod Spotlight series, where today we are having a look at the America Rising Gear of the Enclave mod, which is being made by users Otalino and Waste of Space 95. And what this glorious little piece of work looks to add into the game is some lovely Enclave armor for you to enjoy. And in fact, this mod is a standalone release of the different pieces of equipment that are going to be coming to the new version of America Rising, A Tale of the Enclave, which is an amazing quest and adventure mod that we looked at an early version of a while back. Very much worth checking out, and very cool to see these bits of standalone armor in the game if you do enjoy the Enclave and would like to dress like them. So let's take a look at what we do get here, and as you can see, we've got some pretty good looking bits and pieces of armor and clothing. So let's start here with the first armor rack, where we have the standard Enclave Fatigues, which will give you no actual damage resistances, but being fatigues, you can chuck on top of this any pieces of armor you do desire, but it will give you a boost to your strength and agility, which is always nice. We also have the combat helmet here of the Enclave, which will give you 10 physical resist to protect your head. Always good to have. Now on the next mannequin, we have these same fatigues, but this time we have an Enclave Gas Mask, which will provide you with 1 physical defense and 15 radiation resistance, which is always good. And thankfully, both of these pieces of armor actually do take up different slots, so you can in fact take off that combat helmet there and then pop it on to yourself and wear it along with the gas mask. But if you don't want to take up 2 slots, because maybe you're wearing something under the helmet, well, you can actually get a combination of the two here with the Enclave Combat Gas Mask, which already is a combination of the two, with actually the same stats as if you had them each individually. This will provide you with 12 physical defense and 15 radiation resistance. Always nice. Now next we have an officer's uniform here, where we have the early Enclave officer's uniform, providing you with a 5 radiation resistance and giving you 2 additional endurance. And then we have the early Enclave officer's cap, which gives you nothing at all, but it looks stylish, and so there you go. That's what you need it for. And then we have on this armor rack the Enclave General's Winter Uniform, which again will provide you with radiation resistance of 5 and an endurance of 2, and the Enclave General's Winter Cap giving you some actual 2 points of endurance there, so quite nice, a little bit better than the other officer's cap. Now, as for all the mannequins we have in the back with Enclave combat armor, this is an oddity. Instead of doing individual pieces of Enclave combat armor, these all are wearing a singular suit. So if we look at any of them, well, it's just Enclave combat armor, and it is 1 total suit that at its base level will give you 32 damage resistance and give you an extra +2 to agility, which is nice, but I gotta admit, I personally would have preferred to have the individual pieces of combat armor, and especially I would have liked to have the fatigues that are under this piece, because look at it, it's kind of like camoed there. It's very cool. I really do like that. But no, we get it in 1 solid collection. Now, thankfully, you can heavily modify this thing to really help you out and up that damage resist, but still, I think it's kind of weird, yeah, to have it all as 1 solid thing. Now, I did make 5 different mannequins here, which typically means there'd be different things about it, and honestly, I thought there might be, because there is a material category, but no, that doesn't actually change the material, it just changes some stats, and I left these because, well, it's kind of intimidating to see that many Enclave soldiers. Good times. Now, let's go and look at the modifications that we do get, and I have to admit, they are a little lacking. And by that I mean the only things you can actually modify are basically the main uniforms. None of the helmets or headpieces can be modified, just the main body uniforms. So you can see in my inventory here, I have one of each piece of equipment that is included in this mod, but if we go here to the armor workbench, all we have is the combat armor, the officer's uniform, the fatigues, and the general's winter uniform. So you cannot modify the helmet, the gas mask, or the different officers' hats. But at least on these, you do have the ability to add in some things. Now, on the combat armor, this is where we get the most difference here. Now, we have a material category, which we have either the standard, a reinforced, shadowed, fiberglass, or polymer. And as I mentioned a minute ago, these don't actually change the look of the armor as I originally suspected it might. It does just change stats, which is still good to have. We then have the pretty typical armor modifications of things like lighter build, padded, pocketed, etc. And then finally we have the Ballistic Weave category, where you can go up to Mark 5, giving you some pretty darn good defensive capabilities to the armor. Now then, for the officer's uniform, we only have the ability to add weave. Now, of course, it is kind of a dress uniform, so it kind of makes sense, and even having this well-protected of a uniform with Mark 5 ballistic weave is actually pretty darn impressive. And it is the same deal with the fatigues. We can only add in the weave, which is nice considering that standard fatigues have nothing. Even adding the Mark 1 ballistic weave will give you some form of defense. And then finally, again on the general's winter uniform, once more, just the weave. I'd really like to see some more modifications in here, but you know what? For right now, it all works pretty darn well, and it looks, well, pretty darn intimidating. I really do like the Enclave combat armor here mixed in with that terrifying combat gas mask. You really do look like an evil stormtrooper of the Enclave, and that is a good thing. So yes, it's a pretty simple mod of just some fairly standard pieces of uniforms, with the exception, of course, of these more interesting ones over here that I really like. And if you are an Enclave fan doing some sort of an Enclave playthrough, they could be an interesting addition to your game. So if you'd like to have a look at the mod for yourself, which I would certainly recommend you go and do, you can have a look at the link in the description, as per usual. But that, my friends, is going to be it for today. I hope you all have enjoyed, that you do come back for the next, but until that time, thank you for watching, and as always, have a good one!